Hello, it's Crafty Chris here again this evening. Okay, so tonight, remember, you've probably seen my several videos using up this paper. So I have these squares that are still left over, but I'm not going to use that color line. I am going to actually use the backs of them, and I'm going to do some painting tonight. So first I have to figure out what I'm going to do. I've got blue and two purples of paint, and I have a black paint. I have this really cool, what would you call this, texture tool, and it's got different sides for different things, and a straight side as well. So that's how I'm going to apply the paint, and then I have all my shapes. I don't think I'm going to use the pointy versions of them. I'm just going to use this. But what I need to do is figure out how many I can get on a page. So to do this, I'm going to start off taking the different lengths. I've got them all kind of organized in lengths. And I'm going to put them in, oh, that doesn't fit, sort of piles of their lengths. Okay, so this is a super long one, and these are all about the same size, and this is a little weirder, and that's about the same size. These are about the same size. These are about the same size, those, and then those. So I'm going to start by laying them out randomly in I guess you'd call it kind of like if you were building a thatched roof. So I'm going to need that one. Let's just build over top, different sizes, and I'm just kind of giving myself 1/8 of an inch overlap. And how I'll put them down will be different, but I just need to see how many I need across and up. So let's see. There we go. So that kind of fills that bottom row. Now, maybe I'll take a big one and thatch it over that. And then a medium one and thatch it that way. Whoops. Need to thatch it that way. So I'm going up and down with my thatching, but that's more of what I'll have to do later. But I'm just going to see how many of these, don't want to use all the big ones there, how many of these I will need to cover what's going on here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pardon me. Let's go back to some small ones again. I'm going to put a small one there. I'm going to put a small one here. Okay. And then let's go over here. Oops. I will sort the actual sizes differently when I'm thatching the roof after I've painted them. So this is all just to get the roof prepared. And hopefully I have enough. I may have to use actually all of them. Yep, so that will fit in there. And I can always cut things down if I need to. So this will go there, that will go there. Oops. Do I have enough is all I really want to know. Yeah, I got plenty. So and so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll cut one of these in half, I guess. Then I'm really doing well with pieces. I'm almost done that entire group of I'll cut it with the cutter. So I'm just going to cut this piece down, and so that, yeah, that's 5, so 2.5. That's for there, and I'm just going to paint an extra piece just in case I need it. So this piece is the extra, and I'm just going to put extra on it, big E, and I'll paint that as well, but I probably will not need it. All right, so we have enough to make this work. Now, I have to divide them evenly and randomly. So we're going to go back to that sorting them out in a pile thing. So these guys are longest. So I'm going to take my paper away because I don't need that right now. Okay, let's get these all together. And that's an extra piece, so I'll color that after. So I have 4 colors. 1, 2, 3, 4 big ones. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 big ones. And as usual, this is the first time doing it. So I have no idea where I'm going. I just have well, that's a lie. I have an idea in my head, but I'm not sure how I'm going to make it work. And then that can go there, and then I'm just slowly piling on pieces size by size. These are all the same size. I want to kind of get a fair amount of the same sizes going together. Okay. So I'm just resorting from biggest to littlest and spreading them out in 4 piles because I have 4 colors. Now I've forgotten where I left off. I think it's this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. 6, 7. 8, 9, 11. These are all the same. 15, 16. Okay, so there's my piles. And I'm going to spread these guys out because these are, I'm just going to paint these with the first color. I have no idea how this will work out, but in my head it looks really great. Okay, so I'm going to start with my lightest color. I'm going to put some on the pad, I'm going to add some water to that. And I think I'm going to brush, or do I want to add water? Yes, I do want to add water. Just a little bit. So I'm going to put my water to the side. Get my 1-inch brush, which is a good size for painting. And then start painting. So I'm just going to go over very quickly. Now I don't know if this is going to work, so I'm going to try it. Oh, it does work. Awesome. All right, so there's one done. I do 2 at a time. Sorry, that was just me enjoying a moment of inspiration there. And I just had enough paint too, except I can't run through them together. Okay, so this one messed up because I pressed too hard. So I'm just going to go over it with more paint, a little bit of water to moisten it up, and try again. There we go. And I think I can't do 2 at a time because one dries while the other one is being textured. All right, so now I'm going to clean up, but I am not going to let go of what is here. I am going to take a paper towel, moisten it with water so that I can clean up and use the color that's on everything in one of my junk journal pages. So make sure you get your hands clean as possible. Get your area clean as possible, and that'll have to wash out. Move these guys. Okay, so now we're going to put some water down here. Soak that up. Oops, my brush is peeling. I should have a glass of water here, which I'll probably go get. Luckily the other paint is white, or is purple rather. Alright, so let's wipe down this area. Wipe my tool down. I don't care if I get it completely clean because I'm working all in the purple range. So it'll just blend in. And see, I'm grabbing all that color in this tissue. And then I let this tissue dry. And keep adding the colors for my projects today. And I add the colors. And it all goes together. Okay, so before I go anywhere, I'm going to dry these off. So I'm just going to take a minute, dry these off, and then I'll be back with the next color and the next texture. Okay, so these chips are all dry now, And I'm not going to worry about them curling because I actually don't mind them curling. I probably will curl them a bit to give that roof texture. So moving on to the second one, I'll just begin this one with you so that you can see where I'm headed. Okay, so I've used this texture, so I'm going to use a different texture now to decorate the surface. And I'm using my second color of purple. So I'm going to put my blob of purple down, and I'm going to put my blob of water down. And I've got a clean brush, more or less. I did get a little jar of water, and I'm just going to dry that off. I'm going to open this up so it dries while I'm waiting, while I'm painting. Okay. So let's start with the big ones. So holding that at the top is better. Okay, now we're going to get the second texture tool. I hope it looks enough different. Oh yeah, same kind of lines, but very thin on this one. So that's very cool. So some more water, some more paint. And my texture, actually, I think I'm going to go across and make a plaid. So I'm going to repair this one by just going over it with a bit of water. So I can change that. That's the nice thing about acrylics. Until they're actually fully dry, they will... Okay, come on. Take more water and be changeable with water. Okay, hope this is one of them. I have to remember that everything has to go 2 inches. So this is going to go down. Down. Nope. I need a little thicker. And so this is going to go down and across. There we go. Not worried about that top part of it because it should be able to now I can pretty much paint it. Now there's still tons of paint. This is why I want to put it on my piece of paper towel because I don't want to waste it. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. So now my piece of paper towel is here. It's already damp, so I'm going to take the majority of everything off my fingers and I'm going to do more on that. And if I open and close my so I've got lots of dark there. I'm going to open it up. You see how it kind of just builds its own little interesting pattern. And I think I'm saturated at this point for this paper towel. So the remainder I'm going to get a second paper towel and dry that up. with a little bit of water so that I have, there we go, look at all that paint that's still inside that. Okay, so I'm going to just get a little that's remaining out of there, dry it off. Okay, so now I'm ready for my blue. And I'm going to put a little more of my blue down than I did of the other two colors. Hopefully that will be enough to do this group. And I'm going to start with the big ones first. These guys I'm just going to leave to the side because they're more or less dry, but they will dry while I'm doing the rest of these. So you've seen what I've been doing. Let me just get a little bit of water here. You've seen what I've been doing, so you have an idea of where to go. So I am going to be working on my third side of texture, which is this one here, and my blue paint. And I'll do one, and then I'll go off and do them so you don't have to completely watch me do the next two rounds. Okay, let's get that all painted up. You need to add a little bit of water because if you get it too thick, it clumps up your tool. So here's my, that's a cool texture. I think I'll just leave that like that. All right. So that is what I'm going to continue with, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so these were the blues that I was working on when I switched off the camera. So they came out very nicely. And then I simply just took the original square edge thing and just swooshed down for the blacks. And now the blacks are really interesting because I had no idea, but this has a bit of a shimmer to it. It's actually shimmer paint where the other ones were just plain ordinary paint. So that's kind of cool. So now I've got this shimmery, spazzy looking pattern there. Okay, so I've moved my mat. I've, put everything that's dirty away to be washed later. You should make sure that you soak everything in water while you're waiting. And now we're going to look at putting this all back together. So I don't know really how I want to do this. I think I'm going to start with, I've got all my little things all over the place. I think I'm going to start with these guys across the bottom and go from light to dark. That's my thinking anyway. We'll have to see how it all works out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I have 2 extra, so I can fill them in somewhere. Now, what do I want to do with those 2 extra? That's interesting. They could fill a spot here. Uh-oh, I did that one backwards. And this one's okay, that goes that way. But you see what happened here is I scraped across instead of down. But I'm going to need that piece. So I think I'm going to go light to dark with leftover pieces. And the leftover pieces are going to be at the bottom. So then I go, this one fills in there, that one fills in there, that one goes there, That one goes there. That one goes there. Goes there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I have an extra piece there. And then my blues, sort of just randomly throwing these together. My blues, let's put one there. And put one there, one there, one there. I don't want that little one there. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I've got those left. And then just random. Seven. I've got one black. Don't know how that all worked out. Okay, so let's play around with these and not drop any on the floor because we need them all. All right, so blue, blue, light pink, light pink. Let's see, I think we're gonna just do mamby-pamby. I only have one black, so he'll go in the center. And we'll start like that. That's how we're gonna start. Gosh, I hope this works out. All right. So I'm not gonna tape down the bottom, actually, I think I will turn that up. So I'm just going to roll this up a little bit so there's a bit of a curl at the bottom. And I'm going to tape it 1 inch from the bottom. And I'm going to line it up with the bottom, but it's likely going to curl. And there's our first piece with this loose at the bottom. Then our second piece is going to be this one. Again, I'm sort of leaving that bottom part to curl. I can play with that a little more after. And we're giving this 1/8 of an inch overlap. There we go. And then I'm going to put this guy on. Same thing, curl up the bottom a little bit. Inch from the bottom. I'm going to run my 3 lines of adhesive. And I don't mind doing full lines. Normally I would want to conserve tape on this, but or on projects. But because these are paint and they are still a little tacky, I want to make sure that I train it to be where I want it. There we go. All right. So these ends are still sort of sticking up. And is that 2 inches? Yes. So this guy, again, 1/2 inch for this guy because he's small. And make sure I have that 6 or 1/8 of an inch coverage. There we go. And I'm not worried about that white spot because that's going to get covered by a different piece. Now this little one, I'm just going to put a row across the top. And this, unfortunately, is the wrong direction. But that's okay. We live with it. Oh, now I got 2 blues in a row. So we are going to put this blue this purple here, and then that. Oh, I must have given too much. Okay, so I have to move this over just a little bit. So this is a little bit too much over. Want that 1/8 of an inch only, not 1/4 of an inch is too much. 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and that 1/8 of an inch again. Make sure I've covered the bottom. Awesome. And then an 1/8 of an inch. There we go, and beautiful. This we're going to do 3 strips with the curl up at the bottom. And we're going to line that up with the side. Ooh. There we go. All right, so there's our first row. It's a little wonky looking, but that's okay. So now we're going to take all these ones and we're going to try to fit them in. And that's it. Okay, so now I'm not going to put a big one with a big one. I'm going to put a big one with a little one. 1, 2. Now I know that there's going to be similar colors, touching similar colors, so that's fine. 3, 4, 5. Now 6. All right, so do you see how my brain is working here? This is what I'm thinking. So in order to play this out now, I want to just lay out each row until we get up to that top black row. So here, then, we're going to have a long one. We have the long one there, and a long one there, and a long one there, medium one there, medium one there, no, there. Make sure they're going the right direction. Medium one there, and medium one there. I'm looking at that and I don't like it. So I'm going to switch this out for a short one. I'm going to switch that out for a long one. And I'm going to switch that out for a long one and a short one. Okay. Then I'm going to get my blue. And I'm just sort of piecing it together, like I said, like I don't really have any kind of plan. I'm going to put a short one there. I'm going to put a long one here, medium one there, 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 and then it's all just to make sure that I have enough to go to the top. Wait a minute, I'm missing a black one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put that 7 down there. Okay, I'm short 1. So I'm going to cut one of these in half. Alrighty. And I didn't use the extra one, which is fine. Where's my cutter here? My pile of stuff on the cutter is now falling. This is what happens when you have a very small workspace. I have a big room, but the actual space for working is very small. Okay, so that's like 1.5. Okay, so that goes there. And that goes there. Okay, that should work out beautifully. Alrighty. So, I think, no, I'm going to do these. Alright, so here's the tricky part. So now, I want to have a curling edge. So I'm still going to leave that inch on the bigger pieces, 1/2 inch on the smaller pieces. And now I'm going to cross over by 1/2 inch and line it up with the side of the page. There we go. And then the next one, so that's that row, that's that row. This is this row, to make sure that's the right way. This is this row, that row, that's that row, that's that row. It's a little bit wonky. So here again, 1 inch from the bottom, 1/2 inch down, lining it up. Alrighty. And I'm just going to finish the rest and I'll show you the end result. Okay, so I am done, and this is the finished product, and I'm happy with it, except I don't like the solid black. I like it better how it's kind of manipulated down here. So to get away from that, I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape that kind of coordinates. It has the purplies and whatnots in it. Oh, come on, let go. And I am going to run that right across the top. So that it kind of reduces that big long line of black. There we go. It's got a bit of pink in there, but I can live with that. I can live with that. All right, so there we go. Roll the rest of that back in. I like these multicolor washi tapes that are kind of like ink. Except they're hard to roll back in. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, so there we go. Now, do I want it? Now I definitely want it going down. That can go around the back. There, that makes me feel better. And if I turn off a light here, I think we can get a better idea of color. There we go. I'm happy with that. Okay, so now we've got to think in terms of how we're going to lay out our pictures. And because there's so much going on here, I do not mind having a large picture. Large pictures are very good for this kind of situation. I am going to take a 5x7 and place it in the bottom corner here. Maybe middling. There we go. And then I think I want some square ones, some 3x3s or 2x2s, 2¼ by 2¼ 2x3s. Nope. I'm gonna try 3x3s. So then I have 3x3 and a 3x3. So this is where we're at this point. This is kind of in the center. These guys are a little bit down. And then I'm going to put a title here. And let's see, what do I want to call this? Let's get my words out. Now, black is not going to work, so I'm going to look for something sparkly. So I have that kind of sparkly, but I don't think that's going to work for me. I also have gold, which I don't think is going to work for me either. When you mess with colors, this specifically, it then becomes a bit of a challenge to find something to use. Nope. For a title. So just whip in here. I have some of these things that are black on white, but they don't look Titleish. What about here? Yeah, not loving any of those. So rather than keep you waiting, I am going to find a title. So why don't you take a moment and find your title too? Okay, I found a couple of things that I really like. And so I'm going to make this silver, and I'm just going to keep these the way they are, but I'm going to pop dot them. So I need to do a little bit of prep. Just going to move this out of the way for a moment and get my splat mat back. Alrighty, it's still dirty, but that's okay. And I'm going to make this silver. So to do that, I have this brushed pewter. I have some silver spray. But I also have silver paste. Okay, so I'm going to try this. This is mica spray, and I'm just going to spray right over top of that. And I think what I'm going to do is grab one of my tissues. Where did the tissue go? Oh, there it is. Here's one of the tissues that has some color but doesn't have a lot. And now, I don't know how that's going to work, but let's give it a try. Sometimes you have to prep your board white before you go to spray silver, but let's see what happens. And I'm doing double duty again today because after I dry this out a bit, I have Best Ever on my paper towel. How cool is that? So I can use that in one of my junk journals. So you can see different ways to kind of double duty your I think this is going to be okay actually. I wasn't sure, but I might want to go and just add a little more. But I think what I'm going to do is spray it on the desktop and paint it. Turn this over. Try to keep it as flat as I can. Yeah, I just need a little bit more because I'm thinking that that's not quite enough. It's still quite raw papery. So I'm going to put our whack on there. And I'm going to get my thin brush, thinner brush rather, not thin brush. And I am going to use it dry. So I'm just taking my thin brush, loading it up, going over top, adding another layer. The thing about mica sprays is that the more times you do it, more times you layer one over top of the other, the more you get in terms of sparkle because they align each other the more you play with them. sure I use as much as I can. And you can put brush in different directions as well while it's still wet, and it gives you a different look as well. So a little bit about mica sprays. And I'm happy with that, okay, because it does have quite the glitter and shine, so it will catch your eye. Now I am just going to get a different paper towel and drag some of that off. There we go. So in terms of paper towels just from today's group of colors, this is what we've collected. Isn't that cool? You got some shimmer in that side there. Shimmery, shimmery. Very cool. And then of course the one I just did with the best ever, which is fun. When that dries, it'll be very fun. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. And the page back. Now, we're going to have to use a fair number of pop dots on this because we don't want to take away that three-dimensional feeling. We spent a very long time putting that there. So, I'm going to pop dot a few things. I'm going to wait on that. So, I'm going to be pop dotting my photos. So, let me just put some repositionable tape on there first, just to hold it in its location so I can figure out where everything is going to go. And I'm going to put it about there. Okay, and this one, using a large loop so that it can still sit on top of the paper. This one's going to go about there. That one's going to go about there. Go. And this one is going to go out there. Should probably be lined up, shouldn't it? There we go. Now they're off a little bit, but that's okay because it's hard to see as it's all bumpy. So we have road trip here, we have smile, and we have great times. I'm going to touch them up because they're black. I'm going to touch them up with a little bit of Wink Stella just to give them a bit of a glow on the surface. So all I'm doing is just going over them with Wink of Stella so they sparkle a tiny little bit. So once I've done all three, I'll be back. Okay, so I've done some what do you call it, Wink of Stella on these little bitty bits of oh, can you even see that one? Wow. Okay, so anyway, it is shiny, but you can't really see it because it's on white. And then this guy goes up there. And I'm happy with just having words on this layout at the moment until I find the pictures for the layout. So I am going to add these, as I said, with pop dots. And I have very tiny pop dots and bigger pop dots. So I think I'm going to use a combination of the tiny and the bigger to put these on. So starting with road, might even need tweezers for this. Because it's so small. Put that there. Put that there. Okay, so all of my words are stuck down in amongst my papers, but I felt like I just needed a bit of a punch of color. So what I did is I took these wooden buttons and I just took a fuchsia pink marker and I colored them, and then I put a sticky thing on the bottom. So I'm just going to finish one up for you so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to put epoxy over top, but I'm going to get it onto the layout first. There we go. So that is done. And I'm going to put an epoxy dot on the back. Oh, just as a point, I did paint the sides of them as well, so that they're top and bottom, but I did that in advance so I wouldn't have to. And this one I didn't like the color that it originally was because I made a bunch of them, and so I just changed it. Alrighty, so I think I need one over here. I just don't know where. Maybe in there, like that. And I always do things in odd numbers. So we can do one over here beside family, and then one over here beside road trip. And then the last thing to do is to get my epoxy, which is somewhere on my desk. Aha! It's a huge bottle. Why can't I see it? Okay, well, I'll use my little glossy accents for this, and I just go over the top, right over the holes. Try not to have any bubbles if you can avoid it, because they're not very nice. This one bubble that doesn't, there we go, doesn't want to leave. And over here as well. And they look very pale at the moment because they are covered with epoxy, but they will be fuchsia pink just for a little hit of color to minimize the monotones of the blues and grays. And so there is our finished layout. So thank you very much for joining us, joining me, and we will see you next Thursday. Bye.